The inland bearded dragon lives in the desert and the woodlands of central Australia. It spends much of its waking hours in the bushes and trees, and also found basking on rocks. When it is extremely hot, the bearded dragon will burrow underground to cool itself. The bearded dragon is diurnal and a omnivore. Diurnal means that it's active during the day as opposed to being active during the night. It forages for food such as insects, small lizards, mammals, small mammals to be exact, fruit, flowers, and other plant material during the daytime. They're adept climbers, spending time on branches, and even found on fence posts when living near humans. They also bask on rocks and exposed branches in the early mornings and the afternoons. Bearded dragons didn't commonly appear in the US pet trade until the early 1990s, but since then their popularity has grown exponentially. That is because they're generally easy to maintain, have usually gentle dispositions, grow to a manageable size, and can live up to 10 years. Many hobbyists are attracted to the bearded dragons because of their dinosaur-like appearance, and they're covered in what seems to be like small spikes, but they still seem to be generally pleasant to handle, and they do like to be touched. Bearded dragons are agamid lizards belonging to the genus Pogona. There are 7 species, of which the most common in the pet trade is the P. viticeps. The inland or the central bearded dragon is the most widely available. In smaller numbers, the common bearded dragon and the ratkins have become more widely available, and the number of captive bred animals slowly increases. The other Pogona dragon species include the western, the dwarf, and the northwest bearded dragon, the nullbar, and the P. microlepidioda. There are approximately 73 different behavioral patterns in bearded dragons, and some of which you can only see when they are alone, if they see other bearded dragons, or see a different animal that's in their marked territory. These behaviors are used for sleep, resting, social hierarchy, thermoregulation, seasonal changes, territorial behaviors, and in response to external stimulus. If you only have one bearded dragon, you may not be able to observe some of the behaviors they're acting because some of the behaviors are in response to other bearded dragons. Sometimes their behavior is easy to explain, and other times it's really difficult to understand and to comprehend. But if you see your dragon scratching the grass, pacing, or glass surfing, it may mean that they want to be taken out and be handled, or there's something inside the cage that is irritating them or stresses them out, or they may want or need something else. Because a lot of the different behaviors that they can portray can have different meanings, it's sometimes difficult to understand what your dragon is trying to tell you. But as you spend time like watching your bearded dragon and getting used to it, you'll get to know their normal behavior. And once you are familiar with their behavior, it'll be easier to recognize changes in the behavior, which may indicate like what your dragon needs or wants. It can even indicate like if it's injured, if it's ill, or if it's sick. The best way to bond with your bearded dragon and get to know their normal behavior is to handle them as often as you can, and also bathing them. This also allows your bearded dragon to trust you more and can lead to comprehending more information from the behaviors that they're being like displayed. When they're young, bearded dragons can be kept together, but once they're older and they start to show dominant and recessive behaviors, they have to be separated. They should be moved to separate enclosures and moved away far from each other so they don't stress each other out. Bearded dragons have been known to show dominant and aggressive behaviors when they're young as 4 months, but whenever 2 or more bearded dragons are kept together, they will form a social hierarchy, resulting in one dominant bearded dragon, and usually the largest male, because that's the one that's able to take down the other one easier because they're stronger. If there are more than 2 bearded dragons, there in the enclosure there will also be another social hierarchy among the submissive bearded dragons. This is the result of this is usually one bearded dragon not getting any food or like denied water because of him being so submissive to the point where he or she could possibly die. It'll also result in the most submissive bearded dragon being under a lot of stress, which can be pretty detrimental to the health over time, and can cause a lot of health issues for the bearded dragon. And it can increase the chances that the bearded dragon will become ill, become sick and infested with parasites, or can be injured. Bearded dragons they never mimic any other bearded dragons, so if you see a bearded dragon acting a certain way, it's always genuine, it always means something. Most bearded dragons will display behavior when there's a female around, when another bearded dragon comes in or comes near them, or when they're approached by a larger animal that could be threatening them, so they try to maybe puff themselves up or darken their beard. What is your bearded dragon's name?
My bearded dragon's name is Moxie.
My bearded dragon's name is Gunther.
What is your bearded dragon's sex?
Moxie is a girl, but we didn't know until recently. We thought she was a male for the longest time until she laid an egg, so we changed her name from Tony to Moxie.
Gunther is a boy, but we only know that because he hasn't laid any eggs. Just yet. We're hoping that doesn't change. And our family doesn't have to cope with such drastic change yet again.
Why did you buy the bearded dragon that you have?
I got my Gunther because I saw how cool Moxie was, and then I asked my parents to get me one of my own. So just last year, we got a new addition to our family, and now he sits in my room keeping me company.
I've always had a special connection with animals and bearded dragons especially. They're just really cool to look at, easy to maintain, and really cute. I got little Moxie for my birthday a couple years ago from my parents after I asked them to get me one.
Why are you interested in bearded dragons?
I just think they're really interesting. Where they're so easy to maintain and super dinosaur-like. Rawr. They look like they came from the prehistoric age, and I think that's just jazzy.
I'm interested in bearded dragons because I can always talk to them and they're good conversation pieces. People will ask me, do you have a bearded dragon? And I will say yes.
What is your favorite kind of bearded dragon?
My favorite bearded dragon is a small scale bearded dragon. That's because they're orange colored scales. They're usually very bright and pigmented, and it's very pretty.
My favorite kind of bearded dragon is the dwarf dragon. That is because they always look like they're babies. And the smaller they are, the more you can have. Plus, they're super cute.
Is your bearded dragon generally aggressive?
Moxie isn't usually too aggressive to anything. She's usually really passive and lets people pick her up and pet her whenever she wants. But when she's near her food, she becomes super aggressive. She'll accidentally bite my fingers all the time, thinking that they're food if she's near crickets.
Gunther can be a little aggressive, but that's only to strangers. He lets me pick him up and pet him, but if there is anyone new that tries to touch him, he'll run away and hiss. For the most part, he can be pretty nice too.
Great! Does your bearded dragon like to be held?
For the most part, she never really protests to it. She's a protester. She's lazy, so she just sits there if I reach in to pick her up.
Not really. He likes to run away and hide if someone opens his cage. He will go burrow himself in his little coconut shell, and if he thinks someone's trying to get him out of his cage, he will get scared.
How long have you been interested in bearded dragons?
I've been interested in bearded dragons for as long as I can remember. I used to get those animal books in the library as a kid in elementary school. So eventually, after meeting a couple in person, I convinced my parents to get me one of my own after they came back from Paris.
I've been interested in bearded dragons for about only 4 years. That being because my interest only happened when I met Moxie when we first got her.
In Paris.
Ever since, I can't get enough of those beardies.
How old is your bearded dragon?
Moxie is about 4 years old. We got her when she was 6 months and super small. She was the cutest little thing.
Gunther is about 2 years old, and he was 6 months too when we got him. They get really big really fast. He was about 6 inches when we got him, and now he's 2 feet long.
Where did you buy your bearded dragon?
I got Moxie at a PetSmart in Paris. And I don't know if they come for bearders before there or not.
I got Gunther from the same PetSmart about 2 years ago after we got Moxie.